Hello and welcome to Friday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Now, do not adjust your television sets. This is not the puzzle I'm going to be attempting in today's video. This is yesterday's puzzle, which is an absolutely brilliant puzzle by Abitawilla called Cross the Sums. But I had an email this morning from Mark saying that he hadn't asked me to open anything live on camera recently. So that is the task today. He sent me a link. I'm going to open it right now. And that means this will probably be something quite horrendous. Let me just copy and paste this in. And here we go. Oh, I've got too many old puzzles. Hang on. It doesn't fit on the screen. Toasty Jackpot, I've seen it's called. Hang on, let me just see if I can recenter this somewhat. Actually, that doesn't look too bad, does it? I think that's still in the window. Right, so it looks like we've got sort of 159 rules. Toasty Jackpot by Alaric Taki A. I want to say Alaric Taki Arancha. I think I know that name. Crusader 175 in brackets. There's not a lot going on in this grid, is there? So let's just have a quick peruse of the rules. I do have some announcements today as well. Before we get cracking with this, this is likely to be monstrous, I think. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Clues outside the grid show the sum of the digits sandwiched between the 1 and 9 in that row and column. So we do have sandwich Sudoku going on today, which is a very rare treat. So let me just explain how that works. In this row, we can put the 9 and the 1 anywhere. Let's put a 9 there and a 1 there. And then these 5 cells would have to sum up to 25, so that the sum of the digits sandwiched between the 1 and the 9 in the row were equal to 25. So it's going to be 10 for this column, 10 for this column, and 25 for the final column. And that's all the rules. Right, and we do have 159 rules. Digits in column 1 indicate in which column the digit 1 is placed in the respective row. So for example, if row 7 column 1 was a 6, if this cell is a 6, I'm expecting that will mean that this cell has to be a 1. Let me just see if that's what it says. Then 1 would be placed in the 6th column of that row, i.e. row 7 column 6 would be a 1. Yes, so this is 159, an old favourite of the channel, and it leads to bonkers logic. It's sort of indexing. Apparently this all makes sense if you're a computer programmer, but not if you're a Sudoku solver like me. Columns 5 and 9 have the same rules for the digits 5 and 9. So let's work out how that works. Let's imagine this square was a 2. That would be saying that the 5 in this row had to be in the 2nd column, so it would be there. And let's do 1 for 9. Let's make this square, I don't know, a 6. If that square is a 6, it's telling us the 9 in this row goes there. Bonkers. Right, what else? There's more rules though. Each red stripe contains exactly the same sequence of 9 digits in the same order. Brackets, the slot machine. The slot machine. What? Each red stripe contains exactly the same sequence of 9 digits in the same order. The sequence can start at any point along a red stripe, and when it reaches the bottom, it wraps around again to the top. Oh, that is gorgeous. Right. So, I don't know. Let's just imagine that this. In fact, I can see immediately this won't work. But let's imagine that this was the slot machine sequence. What I think we're being told is if we worked out that there was a 1 here, then the slot machine sequence in this column would look like this. And then say we worked out that was a 1 in the final column. Well, oh, I got a 3 in the corner. Does that mean that's correct? I don't think it does. I think the software just puts yeah, whenever you put a 3 in the corner now, you get the special effects. That's 3 in the corner. Doesn't deserve a song. Doesn't deserve a song unless you've earned it. Wow. Let's restart. Is my clock going? It is. But I do have some announcements before we get cracking. So let me read those to you. Oh, firstly, there's a bonus crossword video on the channel today. It's Friday, and that means it's crossword day. We do a crossword masterclass where either Mark or I takes on the Times crossword. So that's available on the channel. I'll try and remember to put a link on the screen. And then there's just an absolute plethora of birthdays today. Obviously, the 28th of April was a key date in the sort of the evolution of very clever people. I'll start. This isn't a birthday, but this is, I suppose, a wish, passing on good wishes to David, who is defending his PhD today in astrophysics. I always worry when you ask me to say either congratulations or good luck to people who are defending PhDs, but Nicholas asked me to pass on those good wishes to you, David, and my goodness me, you must let us know how it goes, and I sincerely hope that you are now a doctor of astrophysics. Wouldn't that be fantastic? And then Ida, you've turned 25 today, and I know this because your friend Michaela wrote to us. Oh yes, and now we've got a rather special one here. Jakob over there in Austria. Now, I think I mentioned Jakob's birthday last year, may even have been the year before, but I think Jakob turns 24 today, and I know this, Jakob, because your friend Peg wrote to us and asked a shout out for you, and I think Peg might be known to some people as Boo Boo. That's how we know her as well. So Peg and Boo Boo, I don't know if I'm revealing a great secret here, are one and the same, and Boo Boo has been an absolutely unbelievable supporter of the channel. So Boo Boo, we love you, and I'm sure Jakob is grateful for the love that you've sent him today on his 24th birthday. And in fact, I am going to read out these good wishes. So Jakob, last year, when it was his birthday, he said for his birthday he would like us to read out a message. So for my birthday I wanted to share some love with people. So if you can spare some time, I would hope that you can tell all our fellow lovers of the cryptic that no matter what anyone might be going through, there is always hope and there can always be joy. Life is precious, and the greatest gift there is. The sun will rise tomorrow, and even if it may be covered by clouds, it will give us light and warmth. Love is there for everyone that can let it in their heart. Take your chance and walk with your head held high, and keep on cracking the mysterious puzzle that our beautiful life on this earth is. Fine, fine words indeed, and worthy of resharing. I hope you agree. Now, Matt, you've turned 28 today, and I know this because your girlfriend Ashley wrote to us, and apparently Ashley's getting the Sudoku bug as well. Sophia, I messed up. It was your birthday on the 26th. You turned 27, and somehow I missed the message. You're over there in Brazil. I'm so sorry. I hope your baking was successful and you had a great birthday cake. And I'm sorry to hear about the ill health you've had recently, but I hope all is on the mend. And then Yong Bin turns 14 today, and I know this because your friend Eng Chi wrote to us. So Yong Bin, happy birthday. And then I'd also like to say a very happy birthday to Josh, who turns 35 today, and we know this because your dad Stephen wrote to us. And I know that Josh, you've recently had some bad health news, and I hope all is going as well as it can do for you. And I will tell you that Stephen's puzzle, your dad Stephen, which is called Nothing is Perfect, or Nothing's Perfect, well, that's going to be featuring in Mark's video later on tonight. So definitely watch that one, Josh, and I wish you all the very best on your 35th birthday. Now, what else? What else can I talk to you about? I need to tell you a little bit about what's coming up on Patreon at the start of May, because we have got something very unusual and I think very special, which is Demono's. I don't know how to describe it correctly. It is a Sudoku hunt. There are Sudokus to be solved, no doubt, but it is wrapped up in a really good, lengthy story. So it's the first time we've done anything like this. And you have to you're going to have to read the story. You have to earn the later chapters of the story, let me tell you that, by cracking some codes. Don't forget, if you are a patron of the channel and you do get stuck, there is a special Patreon-only channel over on the Discord server. Do avail yourselves of that. We are predicting very, very large numbers of correct entries. So I believe the plan is, rather than reading out all the names of correct solvers, we're going to do a special roll of honour in a video, and we're also going to be reading out the best answers that we get, because the answers are, well, the answer to the final conundrum is going to be a sort of tiebreaker. So you will have the opportunity to show great wit and gain a shout out that way. Anyway, it's something a bit difficult. You'll absolutely love it. So prepare for that. It's incoming at 4 p.m. on the 1st of May. And of course, for this month's reward, which was the Sudoku Skunkworks Nightmare on Sudoku Street, I'm going to be reading out names for a few more days of correct solvers. So very well done to the following: Caroline Hartz, Meatbag, Daniel Schneider, Tammy Holdren, Elizabeth Smith, Lorinda Brown, Lindsay Pickup, Ziffic, David Wales, Daryl Olson, Fool on Hill, I might be a bit late with that one, Fool on Hill, my apologies if so, Emily Barcroft, Sophia Rex, Alex Miller, and Christian Poitras. Very, very well solved, one and all. And now with a lengthy introduction, but I know some people, and now we're putting chapters in. I hope that people don't get too cross with me about that. This is a community, and it's one where I feel I get to talk to my friends every day, and I know it's sort of a parasocial relationship, and I'm sorry if I take up too much of your time, but for me, I like doing it, so I hope you'll forgive me. Anyway, we've done the rules of Toasty Jackpot, Mark's latest in a long line of devious puzzles he sends me to open. I mean, it's quite extraordinary, this, isn't it? There's a slot machine and 4 sandwich clues and some indexing. And yeah, this is all apparently going to be completely and utterly solvable. Well, let's see. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. There's a pregnant pause while my brain says, well, how are you going to do this? I mean, I know some things about... well, okay, let's start off with some secrets, shall we? I don't think there are many secrets related to 10 clues in Sandwich Sudoku, but there is a small secret around the number 25. This can't be a 1 or a 9 in this row, and therefore this can't be a 1 or a 9 in this column. And the reason for that is sort of mathematical. In fact, I will just let you know the secret. The secret, of course, is that any complete row of a Sudoku, any complete column, any complete box, because it contains the numbers 1 to 9 once each, sums to 45. So this whole row contains digits that sum to 45. So we can think about the maximum sandwich. If we put a 1 here and a 9 here, the maximum value of these cells that can be sandwiched is going to be 35, because the whole row sums to 45 and we deduct 1 and 9, so they're going to add to 35. Now, how do we deal with a 25 number? Well, in fact, I think anything over 22 or over prevents there from being a 1 or a 9 in the centre. And that's because the maximum these cells could be would be 8, 7 and 6, which add to 21. And if we did it the other way, again, we can't put more in the sandwich than a 3-cell sequence, and we can't use the 9. So what that's telling us I'm not sure what it's telling us. It's telling us this square can't be a 1 or a 9. Do I colour that in? That's what I meant to do. That's a particularly appalling colour, isn't it? The mixture of red and light green is apparently sludge. Neither of those can be a 1 or a 9. Okay, well, let's move on to more secrets in case they spark something. So there is a sort of entropic relationship in 159 puzzles. If we just study these 3 cells for a moment, I can tell you that one of these digits will be a 1, 2 or a 3. One of them will be a 4, 5 or a 6, and one of them will be a 7, 8 and a 9. So they're each one of these cells is selected from sort of a different entropy. Now you may say, well, how on earth do I know that? Well, let's think about that. Imagine I put 1 there and 3 there. In fact, I'm going to put 2 there and 3 there, just to make the indexing clearer. Why doesn't this work? Well, this 2 is telling us we put the 1 in the second column, and this 3 is telling us we put the 1 in the third column, and we'll get 2 1s in the same box of the Sudoku. So that doesn't work. What we have to do is to make sure that if we can have 1 low digit, and then these 2 now can't be low, or we're going to get a repeated 1 in this box. So we can make one of these medium. That's going to put a 1 in one of these squares. But then now, for this square, it can't be a low number, that'll put a 1 in here. It can't be a medium number, that'll put a 1 in here. So this has to be high and put a 1 over there. So there is a sort of entropy which now, is that limiting the ways that we can make 10? It feels like it ought to. It feels like a 3-cell sandwich is going to be very difficult. Yes, a 3. Okay, all right, here is a tiny deduction based off that entropy idea. If we do have a 3-cell sandwich, let's look at that. So we'll put 1 there, 9 there. Let's have a 3-cell sandwich. How is that 3-cell sandwich going to be made up if we can't use 1? Well, it's going to have to be 2, 3, 5. But now I've used all 3 low numbers in those 5 cells of the grid. And yet I know I know that I must have 1 low number in this sequence, 1 low number in this sequence, and 1 low number in that sequence because of the entropy idea we've just explained. Now, the only way that could work if I've got to put 1, 2, and 3 in a 5-cell sequence is if this cell is a 2 or a 3, but it can't be because we're saying that because we're trying to put the 1 and the 9 or the maximum distance we could put them apart. So this doesn't work. This will not work. So what we do know is the most minor of things, which is that the 10 sandwich in column 1 is a 2-cell sandwich. So we've got something like this going on, where these 2 cells have to be either 4, 6, 3, 7, 2, 8, and obviously not 1, 9, because we've already used up 1, 9. And this is proper pencil marking, isn't it? I refuse to do that. Now, in fact, let me just think about that though, because as I was just doing that, 2 and 8 felt, am I going to run into entropy problems again? Well, sort of, yes. I've got to be a bit careful about this. I can't. The problem is I don't know where the 1 and the 9 go, and I can start to play around with this, can't I? Because if I put the 2 near the 9 and then the 8 near the 1, yeah, I can do it. I can do it quite easily, can't I? Sorry, I was staring at this thinking this is tricky, but I don't think it is. If I go 1, 8, 2, 9, what's wrong with that from an entropy perspective? Nothing. This box has a low and a high digit. This box has a low and a high digit. These 2 cells would have to be medium. Okay. But I do have to cross the box, don't I? What I can't do... Yeah... Is it generalizable, though, what I'm thinking about here? What I'm noticing... Yeah, okay, so the 1 and the 9 are 2 cells apart. So if I do this, it breaks, doesn't it? Because one of these digits... Either this will be a 4-6 pair, which doesn't work, because 4 and 6 are both from the same medium category, or one of these squares will have to be a 2 because it will be a 2, 8 or a 3, 7 pair. So I have to cross the box. What I'm wondering is it necessarily the case that either... Oh, is this a 1 or a 9? That's what I'm wondering. Is it necessarily the case that this is a 1 or a 9? I think it might be. Let me just think about this again. I'm just going to put 1 and 9 in here again. 1 and 9. So if one of these, if we are looking at 2, 8 or 3, 7, I have to put the 2 or the 3 in a different box to the 1. And I have to put the 7 or the 8 in a different box to the 9. So I do have to cross the boundary, no doubt. But what about, when I say the boundary, I mean I have to put the 2 high digits in a different 3x3 box of the Sudoku. Now if this is 4, 6, now that's fine, isn't it? So if this is 4, 6, the medium digit here is in this box, the medium digit here is in this box, and that works. So I'd be putting, yeah, I'd have 1s in that sort of configuration. But again, I still have to cross the box. I can't put the 4 and the 6 in the same 3x3 box of the Sudoku. Right, so in order to achieve this, either this 2-cell sandwich is in those 2 positions, or it's in these 2 positions. And if that's the case, that cell is a 1 or a 9. That's the world's most useless deduction. Well, okay, so one of those is a 1 or a 9. We can say that for certainty. Oh, come on, why can't I understand what that does? I don't know. I've got this slot machine thing to think about. This is a 1 or a 9. Am I supposed to know something about this column? Oh, I do know. Okay, I do know something about this column. Oh, okay. I don't even think this is. Well, I don't really know how to use this, but I'm just going to tell you what I've noticed. Somewhere in this column, there is a sequence that goes 1 or 9, and then 2 digits that add up to 10, and then the other of 1 or 9. So there are 4 cells that have that pattern. Now, how is that going to work in this column then? I should have thought about this before, because obviously if the 1 and the 9 are 4 cells apart in this column, then this sandwich clue should be the same as this sandwich clue, and it's not. So there is some inversion. What I think this means is, imagine this was the 1-9 pair in column 1. We need this digit to drop off the bottom of the slot machine in this column and go up here, and then this digit to move a couple down, so that you have a big difference. So you're going to have a 5-cell difference, aren't you? Because effectively what we're trying to do is to invert the sandwich, to sort of flip it round the other way. I don't know if I'm making that clear. Let me show you what I mean. If this is 1 and this is 9, and this is, no, that's going to have to be that way round. Then how do we make this work in this column? Well, I think one way we could make it work is, let's plonk the 1 at the bottom. Then it must go 8 by slot machine. It goes 8, 2, 9. But now you can see that those 5 digits by mathematics will sum to 25, because the column We know sums to 45, and we're taking 20 away from that, so those are going to add to 25. And what we couldn't do is then flip the slot machine even one further down, because the moment the 1 came up here and was still above the 9, there would only be 2 cells apart. So we need to sort of invert the sandwich. I don't quite know the right linguistic way of explaining what I mean there, but that is what we need to do. But I don't understand really. So this, let me just think about this. So if that was a 1 and this was a 9, this would have to drop down off the end of the grid, and this would have to stay down here somewhere. I don't know. I know one of these digits is a 9, so I know that I suppose that what I do know is that the 1 in this column must correspond to one of these cells. It must do, because one of these is the 9, and that's going to pinpoint the 1 in that one's row. So one of these is a 1. That feels like the world's most useless deduction, doesn't it? I want to say that this can't be the 1. Is that wrong? If this is the 1 or the 9 in this column, I know that the 9 will be 2 cells away from the 1, because that's what's going on with the slot machine here. But then I'm going to be looking, if this was 9 and this was 1, or this was 9 and this was 1, I'm looking at a 2-cell sandwich, which doesn't work. So that is not the 1. Right, here we go. So one of these is the 1. And if this is the 1, then I need the... Have I got a 1-9 pair in this column? Is that what I'm... Yes, I must do now. That's weird. That must be right. I don't know, I think I've been really slow to appreciate that, but that must be right, mustn't it? Because if this was a 1, in order to get a 25 sandwich, where the 9 is going to be 2 cells away from this, well, the 9 can't be there, so the 9 is going to have to be there. So this is a 1-9 pair. Because if this is the 1, that needs to be the 9, and then we would fill those 2 squares with whatever of those 2 squares is adding up to 10. Wow, okay, well that feels like progress. So now, if there's a 1 in one of these cells, there is a 9 in one of these cells. Because we're indexing in this column, and if there's a 9 in one of these squares, that square is a 1. This is just absolutely... It's so peculiar. It's so peculiar, I almost don't believe it. Now. So now. What an idea this is. I mean, this is just bonkers, isn't it? I don't know. Am I supposed to know which of these is more likely? If it's this one, if that's a 9, that's a 1. This square here could be, I mean, it could be so many different things. I don't know. Oh, this is very, very confusing. What am I meant to do here? I'm sorry if you've all got there already. I mean, it just doesn't feel very likely to me that these other sandwich clues are actually useful. I mean, they must be useful in some way, but this one is referencing itself, so that is done and dusted. So if this is 1, then this is 9, and this is 9. Now what's that doing? Is it doing anything? These two digits would add... Well, these two digits do add up to 10. I just don't know the order of the 1 and the 9 here. So these digits are either a 2, 8, 3, 7 or 4, 6 pair. Oh, hang on a minute. I see something. Right, the 25 clue. Yes. So I started off by thinking about this cell and thinking about whether or not it could be a 1 or a 9. I concluded it couldn't be. But what I've just realised is these two can't be 1s or 9s now either. Because neither of those can be. If I made this a 1 or a 9, a 25 sandwich total is at least 4 cells of sandwich, because 8, 7 and 6 only add up to 21. So if I do make this, say I made that a 1, in order to get a 4-cell sandwich, that would have to be a 9, which it cannot be. Oh, I see. So neither of those squares now can be in the sandwich. So, okay, so one of these two cells is a 1 or a 9, and one of these two cells is a 1 or a 9. Okay, so that, all right, well, let's keep going with that then. Because one of these two squares is a 1 or a 9, in this box, between those three squares, we've got all the 1s and 9s, so all of those squares must be green. We can't say the same here, because I don't know whether this is a 9 or not. Oh, come on. What about the 5 in this column? The 5 can't go in those two squares, because we know those two squares add up to 10. So if one of them was a 5, the other would be a 5, and that would put 2 5s in this column. So there is a 5 in one of those squares. Now the 5 in one of those squares indexes the 9 in the row it's in. So it's saying that there's a 9 in one of those cells. Now, we know it's not that one actually, because I've just proved this can't be a 1 or a 9. Well, actually I proved that right at the start, so that can't be a 5. So why is that green? Oh, that's just saying that couldn't be a 1 or a 9, which actually we could do to the whole of this column. So that sludgy colour there is a little bit redundant. I don't know how to do that. Right. Okay. If that is a 9, then I know that one of those squares is a 1. What's that doing? If that's 9, I know this is a 1. I know this is a 9. These two add up to 10. Hang on. If that's 9. Hang on, this doesn't work, does it? How can this be 9? Am I not going to get 2 9s in this? Oh no, I'm not going to get 2 9s because this is going to be a 1. I'm going absolutely bananas. Right, okay, sorry. So if this is a 9, we get a 1 here. Whoopsie, a 1 in one of those. I don't know which one. We get a 9 in one of these, and we get a 1 here. So we don't get 2 9s in this box. We get 1 9. We get a 9 down here. This square's 2 or 3. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. That doesn't work. This is very, very, very clever. Okay. Right. Let me try and explain what I've just noticed. If we put 9 here, yeah, this is so beautiful. I mean, this is one of those deductions that just brings tears to your eyes. It's incredible. It's just incredible. Right. So we have to engage full brainage here to understand what's going on. We know these two squares. Oh, I've just thought of another possibility, actually. No, that doesn't... Oh, right. Gosh, you've got to put in place a lot of things here. So one thing I hadn't thought of when I was thinking about this is the 4-6 possibility, but that's actually ruled out for a different reason. If this is a 4-6 pair, we are saying that this is a 4 or 6, but that's plonking a 1 in one of those two squares in row 3, and that won't work because we've just worked out the 1 is in one of these two squares. So if this is a 9, the 1 is in one of these two squares. Now that indexes from a 2 or a 3 here because this 1 is in the second or the third column. But the problem is not this. The problem is this digit, which now, because we know this adds up to 10, is 7 or 8. But look, by slot machine, what is the digit above the 1 on the slot machine here? Well, it's this digit, which is a 7 or an 8. And that's telling us to put a 9, because this is indexing the 9, in one of those two squares. And I get 2 9s in this box. Not the original 2 9s I thought I was getting, which was completely inept thinking. I thought that was going to be a 9 for some reason. But it doesn't work, because this digit transfers over there by slot machine. That is so clever. I mean, that is just so clever. I'm not actually sure what it's going to do. Well, it's going to give me another digit, is all I think it's going to do. When I say that, what it's going to do is we now can look at this. We know this is not a 9. It's impossible. So this is a 9, which means this is a 1, which means this is a 9. Now, what on earth is that doing? I don't know. There's a short and sweet answer about that. Right, so I suppose I know there's a 1 in one of these two squares now because of the 25 clue, which means there's a 9 in one of these two squares. Now those both need to be indexed. So this 1 is indexed from here, and it is a 7 or an 8. And this 9 is indexed from here, and it is a 2 or a 3. Okay. Somewhat underwhelming. So now we... Oh, okay, but do I just extend this now? So this 1 has a 7 or 8, 2 above it. So that 1 has a 7 or 8, 2 above it. Now that's different from a 5. So that means this is not the 9. This is a 7 or an 8. So there's a 9 now in one of these two squares by pure magic. But we can do the same with the digit below the 9 on the slot machine. On this side is a 2 or a 3, which means there's a 1 in one of these two squares, which means there's a 1 in one of these three squares. Now these squares correspond to this digit. Oh, come on, you are kidding me. Oh, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in Sudoku. This is just... How do you come up with this stuff? Because look what's happened now. The sandwich here is adding up to 10, but the 1 we're indexing from this position is a 4, 5 or a 6 into this square. If I could type. It's this. Well, we can't make this 5 because that's going to put double 5 in here. So this is a 4, 6 pair. And now we get this pattern. And we've got a 4, 6 in the sandwich. So we've got a 4, 6 in these two squares, which means the 9s are in this pattern in columns 4 and 6. Which means that's not a 9, look. So this is not a 5. So there's a 5 up here now. This is just absolutely mad. Okay. I don't know what this means. I'm trying to work it out, I promise you. This square, by entropy. Oh yeah, I was going to do it by entropy. I can do it by Sudoku. There's a 9 in one of those two squares, which index from here gives me a 7 or an 8 in this position. So I've now got a 7, 8 pair here. I've got 4, 6 pair here and a 1, 9 pair there. So these squares are from 2, 3 and 5. Now, what's that doing? One of these is now the 9. And one of these is going to put a 9 in some of these cells. Okay, but the most exciting thing we're going to do is to copy across all this logic. So there's a 7 or an 8 above the 1. So that must correspond to a 1 being in one of these squares. So these are going to be from 2, 3 and 5. So there's a 1 in one of those squares because the 5 in this column seems to have to be in these cells. We don't get the sandwich total for this column though. Now, hang on a minute. Well, that can't be the 9. In this column, where's the 9? Now, if the 9 is here, unless I'm misreading this, the 1 in this column is definitely in one of those squares. So if that's a 9, that's the earliest I could put a 1, and we'd be having a 4-cell sandwich trying to add up to 10. That will not work. The minimum sum of these squares would be 14, 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So we can't put the 9 here. It just doesn't work. The 9 must go there, I think, which means this is a 6, which means that's a 4, which means this is a 9. Now, okay, now I can't write 10 into that cell, so that can't be the 1, which means this is the 1, this is the 1, which means this is... Oh, look, we already knew this. Yeah, we knew this because the 1, 4, it goes 1, 4, 6, 9 in column 9, so it goes 1, 4, 6, 9. So this is weird. It's absolutely crazy. So now these two digits add up to 10. But they aren't indexing anything, so I don't think we know much about that. I pause there because these sorts of puzzles, they leave me so confused often. What about this one then? So here, well... Yeah, I see. Right, I can pinpoint the 1s and the 9s in this row now. And that's for a lovely reason, which is that these two squares are definitely not in the sandwich, and they add up to a minimum of 9. So if I was to increase the sandwich by 1, so say I was to leave this out of the sandwich and put the 1s and the 9s there, what would this digit be? Well, it would have to be another 1, because even if I make that 7 plus 2, this would have to be a 1, and there'd be 2 1s in the row. So you can't do that. The 1 and the 9 have to be as far apart as they can be, and these two squares have to add up to 10 in order to allow these squares to add up to 25. Now I can do more indexing, because now all of a sudden that's in position 2. So this is 2, this is 8, this is 7. Okay, so that's a 7 above a 1, so that's a 7 above, and that's an 8 above that. this 2 comes out of these squares. And that's below the 9, so that becomes a 2, which means this becomes a 1. How many 1s have we got? Lots. There's a 1 up here. Oh, I see. That 1 is corresponding to a 3. Yeah, so one of these is a 3 and one of them is a 5, and that corresponds to these 1s that we've got left. And okay, so there's going to be a 9 in one of those, and there is by Sudoku, so that works. And now I feel like, okay, I can do this. 9 and the 8 must be in this order because of the 8, 7 here. So that gets filled in. 7, 1, 4. So I think I've used all... Oh, I know what I'm going to get to do next. I'm going to get to do this. That's going to be so exciting. Hang on. Okay, let me just think. So these are the ones we need. Look, yeah, that's a 1. I can get that one. Yeah, okay, so I think that's as far as I can take this. So all I've got to do now, he says, without a great deal of confidence, is work out well, if this is the 1 and this is the 9, what are we saying then? I've got to put 4 and 6 into these squares. Oh, I've got it. Oh, this is just another. It's just icing on a most beautiful cake. Right. How could this be 9 and this be 1? That doesn't work because 4 and 6 are in the slot machine cells. If this is a 4-6 pair, what are we saying about where the 5s go? Well, we've got to put a 5 in one of those and a 5 in one of those in column 4 and column 6, and that will put 2 5s in box 1. And that tells us, oh Mark, this is a sick puzzle. This is a sick puzzle. We've got to separate the 1 and the 9. Well, not the 1 and the... Well, yes, we've got to keep the 1 and the 9 in different boxes so that we can have the sandwich cells in different boxes. And now we're going to get 5s in this pattern. And these are not in the same box, so that feels like it's going to work. And look, now this 5 sees that square, 3, 5. So 3 is this one. Oh, I see, it's all indexing itself now. So 2 has a 3 below it, so on the slot machine, that's 3, that's 5. Oh! That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. This is absolutely ridiculous. So have I done all the 1s? I feel like I must have done, and all the 9s. Yes, and presumably now I can just fill this in because this is a slot machine. So we've got to go 4, 6, 2, 3, 5, 8, 7. And now I can use these to fill in all the 5s. So 5 is going to be in column 7. 5 is in column 4, so that does the 5s there. 5 is here. 5 is here. And 5 is there. Okay, and now... Okay, now this, I haven't done this. These add up to 10. They're not 3, 7. And they're not 2, 8. And they're not 1, 9. So this is 4, 6, and that's resolved. So 6 and 4 go into the grid. So that gives me a 6 here by Sudoku. 6 here by Sudoku. 6. Oops. That's a 6 by Sudoku. These squares are 2, 3, and 8. Bobbin's face. I don't think I can do that. Alright, what about those squares? 2 and 7. Yes, I can do those. So that means that suggests this needs to be a 3. So in this box I need 4, 7, and 8. That's an 8 by Sudoku. So that's an 8, that's a 2, that's a 3. This is a 4, 7 pair. I don't know if we can do that, but I'll fill it in. That square there has got to be a 2 by our old friend. Our fair weather friend Sudoku. This is a 3, 8 pair. Don't think that's resolved. What about these squares? They are 3 and 7. Yes. 7, 3. 4, 7, 8 in the middle box. So that's got to be the 8. That's the 7. That's the 4. And that's going to fill in this top stuff, isn't it? We've got a 2, 3 pair. Yes, it is. This is a 6, 8 pair. I've got to be a bit fair to Mark about this, because I don't quite... He often gets this right, doesn't he? Look, this is all filling in. That was just... well, this is... It is just an absolutely world-class, extraordinary puzzle. Whoopsie, I was about to make a mistake there. I need to put 2 in. This digit's wrong. I think that might be a 6. And in this box I need 7 and 8, which is going to be there. And let's hope this is right. Yes. And my timer went up. Wow. Just wow. What a puzzle. I was very slow at the start to understand how these 1s and 9s. I sort of thought I could see there was something going on with 10 in this column. And I wasn't too slow to understand that meant it was a 2-cell sandwich. But what I was slow about was understanding the implications for this column. Of the fact that there was a 1-9 pair was weird, that the 1-9 pair had to be there. That's really, it's not, is it obvious? It's more obvious, I think, than I made it. But there was so many things to love. I mean, this is extraordinary. The way that this row works, with the sort of slot machine, giving us a problem with this digit. I mean, that was it's quite unbelievable. And there were about 4 moments after that when it just seemed, it was absolutely magical. This column being resolved because you couldn't put a 4-6 pair in the middle was wonderful. I mean, this is a sick puzzle. That is so brilliant. Toasty Jackpot. I absolutely love that. Crusader 175 or Alaric Tacky. I think it's a Rancher, but I hope I'm not getting that wrong. That was special. That really is a special puzzle. Absolutely loved it. I hope you had a go. Let me know in the comments whether you had a go and how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.